Hi, this is Marty from Photoshop Arthouse. I'm going to show you how to create the retro look of shiny molded plastic text and graphics. I provided this retro pattern that we'll use for the background. Its link is in my video's description or project files. Later, I'll show you how to change the color of the gray speckles. I also included the link to the font I'll be using. Feel free to use a different background or font if you like. Many of the filter settings I'll be using to make our text or graphic look like shiny molded plastic are based on the size and resolution of my document, which is 1920 by 1080 pixels and a resolution of 150 pixels per inch. If you're using a different background whose resolution is bigger or smaller, you'll need to adjust the filter setting amounts to give you similar results as mine. Let's begin with text, and then I'll show you how to prepare the graphics so you could use the same steps. Open your horizontal type tool and type Picker. I'll pick Retro Cookies. The result will look best if you use a thick font. We'll adjust its size in a moment. The aliasing is smooth, and I'll choose Center Alignment. Click the box and pick white so we can see it well against the background. Click on your document and type out your text. Drag your cursor over it and click the Character Paragraph icon or go to Window and Character. Place your cursor over the size icon, and when it changes into a scrubby slider, drag it to the right or left. Another factor that will affect the look of the plastic is the size of the text, so feel free to adjust the filter setting amounts accordingly. To adjust the space between two or more lines of text called leading, hover your cursor over the leading icon and drag it to the left or right. To adjust the spacing between all the characters known as tracking, drag the scrubby slider over the tracking icon. Then close the panels. To center your text, open the Move tool and press Ctrl or Command A to select the document and click the Align Horizontal Centers icon and the Align Vertical Centers icon. Then deselect it. At this point, we have white shapes in the form of text over the background. If you have a graphic that you'd rather use instead of text or in addition to text, we need to convert it into a white shape as well, so we can transform it into shiny plastic. Click the Lock icon to unlock the layer. We'll make sure the graphic is pure black and white. Open the Levels window by pressing Ctrl or Command L. Drag the input white level to just inside the point where the histogram rises. Do the same for the input black level. Invert the image by pressing Ctrl or Command I. Open the Channels panel. If you don't see it, go to Window and Channels. Ctrl or Command click the thumbnail to select the tones of the graphic. Open back the Layers panel and invert the selection by pressing Ctrl or Command Shift I. Press the Delete key on your keyboard to delete all the black areas. Then deselect it. Drag it up onto the tab of the background and without releasing your mouse or pen, drag it down and release. To resize it, press Ctrl or Command T to open the Transform tool. Go to a corner and press and hold Alt or Option as you drag it in or out. Then press Enter or Return. So now we have a white shape over the background, just like our white text. The steps from here are the same for both text and graphics. We'll convert our text or graphic into a smart object so we can add filters to it non-destructively, meaning we can adjust them at any time. Click the icon at the upper right of the Layers panel and click Convert to Smart Object. Double-click an empty area of the layer to open its Layer Style window. Click Gradient Overlay. Open the list of gradient presets and pick a gradient you like. I'm picking a gradient called Spectrum, which is inside the legacy gradients. If you want to use it as well but don't see it, click Window and Gradients, and click this icon to open the flyout list, and click Legacy Gradients. Open the Legacy Gradients folder and the Legacy Default Gradients folder. Click the thumbnail of the spectrum gradient. The blend mode is normal, the opacity is 100%, and the style is linear. The angle is 0 degrees, the scale is 100%, and the method is perceptual. Click Bevel and Emboss. Remember, if the size or resolution of your text, graphic, or document are higher or lower than mine, some of the filter setting amounts will have to be adjusted to get similar results as mine, so feel free to adjust them to amounts that look good to you. The style is inner bevel, the technique is smooth, and the depth is 50%. The direction is up, the size is 30 pixels, and the soften is 1 pixel. Uncheck Global Light. The angle is 130 degrees, and the altitude is 60 degrees. Open the Gloss Contour presets and click the gear icon. Click Small or Large List. Click Ring Triple. The highlight mode is screen, the color is white, and the opacity is 100%. The shadow mode is irrelevant because its opacity is 0%. Click Contour and Shallow Slope Valley. The range is 75%. Click Inner Glow. The blend mode is Multiply, the opacity is 50%, and the noise is 0%. The color is black, the technique is Softer, and the source is Edge. The choke is 0%, and the size is 25 pixels. The contour is linear, and the range is 50%. Click Drop Shadow. We won't see the effect of drop shadow now, but we will once we add the additional plastic surrounding our text or graphic. The blend mode is Color Burn, the color is black, and the opacity is 30%. Global Light is unchecked. The angle is 130 degrees, the distance is 10 pixels, the spread is 0%, and the size is 5 pixels. The contour is linear. Next, we'll add the additional molded plastic surrounding our text or graphic. Control-click or Command-click the thumbnail of the text or graphic to select its shape. Go to Select, Modify, and Expand. I'll expand it by 16 pixels based on my text size and resolution. Control-click or Command-click the New Layer icon to make a new layer below the active layer. We'll fill the selection with any color. I'll press Alt or Option plus Delete to fill it with the foreground color, which is white. Then deselect it. Convert the layer into a smart object. We'll copy the effects to the layer below it by pressing and holding Alt or Option as we drag it next to the layer. Click the eyeball icon next to Drop Shadow to hide it, and double-click Bevel and Emboss to open it. I'll change the depth to 30% and the size to 20 pixels. Click Inner Glow. Click the box and pick White. Change the blend mode to Linear Light. Reduce its opacity to 20% and the size to 20 pixels. Click Satin. The blend mode is normal, the color is black, and its opacity is 30%. The angle is 90 degrees, the distance is 4 pixels, and the size is 10 pixels. The contour is rolling slope descending, and make sure Invert is checked. Lastly, I'll show you how to change the gray speckles of the background to any color you want. Let's collapse the Smart Filters to save some space in the Layers panel. Make the background active and click the Adjustment Layer icon. Click Solid Color. Pick any color you like. Change the blend mode to Soft Light. This is Marty from Photoshop Arthouse. Thanks for watching.